Hello everybody, I'm Mindy from Quilting Mayhem, and the Kona Block of the month for 2026, the color patchwork party, is coming. So I thought I'd just go over some basics of how it's going to go. So if you did the subscription, you did a buy-in for the background, so you're going to get all your background with month one. So whether it was white or navy, those were the options. You'll get all of it right out the gate. So you're going to have it every month. It'll be ready for you. Super excited about it because last year, there were some fun little hiccups last year. So this should make life a lot easier for you. What will then happen is each month you're going to get a pattern card and a charm pack. So there's 42 charms in here. You are not using all the charms each month, but save them. Okay, so whatever's left over, save those for the optional border. There's a checkerboard border that you can do. So make sure you save those extras or just in case for whatever else. All right, each month I will do a video that will walk you through how to make each block. So I'm going to do break it down type steps of each part, each piece. Very beginner friendly so that you can make these blocks successfully and hopefully without frustration. That is the goal, right? Because we want to get this quilt done. We don't want to be stressed about it. It's fun. You're just doing a block a month. And then after the 12 months, you'll have all the blocks to put together into a sampler quilt. All right. So pretty straightforward. This is year 3. So, definitely, we know what we're doing here. We got it down, all right? If you followed me before, super easy. I do like that there's some different techniques this year, hopefully. Last year was a lot of half square triangles. It does get you into like some flying geese, and then there's just some like squares and rectangles. So it does change it up a little bit, which is nice to have something a little different. I'm ready for some change, all right? Basic tools that you'll want, I recommend those kinds of things. So for doing the blocks, I always have on hand the 4.5 by 8.5 creative grid, and then the 4.5 creative grid. These are the ones I use the most. And why do I do creative grid? Well, it's got, I don't know if you can see these circles. There we go. So these are all texture. I like that it's single numbers going one way, and then on the 1/2 inch, so these are 1.5, 2.5, and all that going the opposite direction. This edge is a 1/4 inch, this edge is a 1/2 inch. Like, it's got a lot of good marking locations on it to work with for these blocks. So these are the two I use the most. I do recommend like a 6.5 by 12.5 or a 6.5 by 24.5 or 8 by 12, 8 by 24, like for cutting the background. So when you're working in the larger pieces of fabric, just to get like full strips cut out of those, a bigger ruler is nice to have. Of course, rotary cutter, 45 millimeter. I've been using this since like the dawn of time. I don't know why. This is like my favorite. I can't seem to change from this, but there are ergonomic options. I definitely recommend using those, especially if you have wrist issues, those kinds of things. I just, this is like the kid blanket. Like, I've had this thing probably 30 years and I just can't give it up. So that is the one thing, if you are new and you're looking at like, oh my God, like it gets expensive when you're putting in for a rotary cutter and rulers and cutting mats, because you got to have that, all those kinds of things. But they last a long time. Like this rotary cutter, I'm pretty sure that I've had this one like 30 years. And you just keep changing the blades. That's the key. Change your blades. If you have a cutter and you have not changed your blade you don't remember, you don't know how long it's been, please replace your blade. You will thank me for it later. It will make your cutting mat last longer, and those things, you want to make sure those last. And so that's one of the key things to keep it from getting all those grooves and getting worn out. And then just kind of wiping down your mat in between, getting those little fibers out, those kinds of things. You can wipe like the Olfa and the Creative Grid mats with damp cloth, kind of helps re-moisturize it, keep it fresh. So you'll need a cutting mat of whatever size really can fit in your sewing room. Like I have back here in my land of mayhem, the big 24 by 36 inch cutting mat. But then like here at my cutting station, I have this 14-inch rotating mat that's a Creative Grid. So I have this guy here. I have a 12 by 18 also underneath. I don't know why. I like to have mats. But, you know, whatever fits your space. Some of you I know are, you know, probably in apartments, just small living spaces. You can't give up a lot. Maybe you have kids, that kind of stuff. So, I do recommend at least like the 12 by 18 just to work with like the background fabrics because you need enough room to cut the bigger pieces. So that is what I would say is the minimum that you would need. But like I said, you're going to use these. You're going to use them a lot. You're going to make them worthwhile. All right. So those are kind of those basics. And then, you know, as we're quilting, you're going to need pins. I generally will recommend magic pins. These are the flat ones. You don't have to do the flathead ones. I like these a lot of times, especially when I do foundation paper piecing, because that way everything lays nice and flat as you're feeding through across the table, trying to get them into the machine, those kinds of things. And magic pins are heat resistant. So if you have something pinned and then you're trying to press around it, you don't have to worry about it melting to your iron. It happens. It happens a lot. So having any kind of pin that's heat resistant, there's glass head pins, some of those kinds of things. So if you have those, they work fine too. Like, I'm not going to tell you that you have to have like this kind. I'm not that person. Like, if you have other kinds, great. Just be careful because the old school, I still have a couple flat flower that I've had since the dawn of time. They work great. Don't touch an iron. It will melt. Okay. It will melt quickly. And then you're cleaning your iron, which is never fun. Having a pressing station, so like behind me, what I actually have is a wool mat back here. Let's see if I can get that for you. And then I've covered it with muslin, because that way, as the muslin gets dirty from the starch I use, or if I'm using adhesives, I can just pull that off, put a fresh one on instead of having to buy a new wool mat. The benefit of wool mat is that it will hold the heat. And so as you press, because you need to kind of press downward, we're not stretching fabric, we're not pushing into it, we're just pressing down. That heat's going to absorb into the wool. You let it sit for a minute, let that block kind of cool down a little bit, and it helps make those seams flat. And so I will try to show you that in a different video, because obviously I'm not prepared to actually sew yet. But it does help make nice flat seams. So, which I get asked a lot, how do I get flat seams? Wool mat. I really like the wool mat. And starch, like Best Press Flatter. So we have these mister bottles that I love because they're a really fine mist. Because I am a heavy user, unfortunately. Like the spray bottles, I seem to overspray. So I do like having the long mist. And this one trigger pull goes like 18 inches across a block, which is nice. But I like to mix my own. So if you haven't seen in the past, what I do is 1/3 water, 1/3 Best Press, usually unscented, and then I do 1/3 of Flatter in whatever scent I want. If you have scent issues, just do all unscented. That's my recommendation. But I like pineapples. I think my favorite flatter. So usually I have 1/3 of pineapple, so that I get just, you know, a little bit of scent, but not a lot. It's not an aggressive scent. So usually it doesn't seem to affect anybody that's around me in a class, that kind of stuff. But do be mindful if you are in classroom spaces that you may need to be all unscented, because there are people that have sensitivities. But I do third, and third. Why? I add the water because I'm a heavy sprayer, and I personally don't want like a heavy starched feel in my block, but I do want the Best Press that gives it that crispness, and then I want the Flatter that kind of takes the wrinkles out. So the two, while both being kind of a starch spray, one just does better in the wrinkle releasing, one does better a little bit in the starching, or you can use Magic Spray. I don't have my bottle around. Oh yeah, I do. I do love Magic Spray also. So I have the travel one. So when I do classes and stuff, I usually just take this guy. This is a heavy starching spray, or heavier. It's kind of like Best Press 2.0. The more you use it, the heavier it gets. If you're doing small pieces, those kinds of things, this is great. So you get better manageability. So that's my TED Talk on starch sprays. I make sure that you're careful of using any that like are from the grocery store, been around a while. Make sure they don't have a potato starch in them, because that's what attracts bugs. So that is my PSA for grocery store starch sprays. Make sure you're checking for that, because the last thing you need is it attracting bugs, especially if you're making quilts that you're maybe gifting, making heirlooms. Last thing you need is to pull it out of a chest or a closet and be like, oh, now it has holes because the moths got to it. So that's my other PSA. Otherwise, making sure you have good snips of some sort. Mine are just pretty rainbow ones. Unfortunately, as much as I try not to use it, seam rippers. Have one of some sort. It is, I got this one, Etsy, Facebook, or whatever, so it's a pretty acrylic one that has a stiletto on the other end, type of tool. Great to have, but you can have your good old Clover seam rippers. Those are nice and sharp. They work really well. It really, once again, these are some of the things that it doesn't really matter necessarily which one. Like, quilt police aren't going to come for you if you have a gypsy seam ripper versus a Clover seam ripper versus one off of Etsy. Those kinds of things. Like, pick what works for you. I will just say, be careful of anything you buy on the Big A box store. That one, especially if you think it's a big name, like Olfa, Creative Grids, some of those kinds of things. A lot of those are not official. And so yeah, you're saving money, but you're potentially getting one that is a knockoff. And so like, the measurements might not be correct, how well it's made. It'll be made more cheaper. And so it'll potentially fall apart on you, those kinds of things. See, this is why we have safeties, because I smack myself in my face with my rotary cutter. So make sure you always close your blade. So that's my PSA about the Big A. Let alone, please support your local quilt shops wherever you are. If you have somebody local and they help you pick fabric and patterns and answer your questions and teach you things, pay the extra $1, support them so that they can be there to keep answering those questions and being helpful. That is the big thing these days, because sadly, like in our area, shops are closing, and a lot of it is because unfortunately, there is that instant gratification. You want to get it now, it's cheaper, it's whatever, but your local shops can't they can't stick around just by answering questions and then having you go buy somewhere else. So that's my other PSA. I love you guys. I really do. I understand budgets and all those kinds of things. Shopping sales, all that kind of stuff. Just keep that in mind as you're price checking everything. If you can afford it, please buy it from your quilt shop. Pay the extra $1 or $2 or whatever to keep them going, because they have way bigger overhead than big box, but they also give you way more support, right? They're helpful for you, they answer your questions, all that kind of stuff. So now that I got on my soapbox, we're good. Love your quilt shops, but we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna have a good time with this. We're gonna do these blocks, learn things, have fun, and get it done. This is gonna be our goal. I don't want to see it on your UFO list for 2027. Well, we're still going to be working on it 26, so maybe 2028. We don't want to see it on the UFO for 2028. So please always know I am here. I'm here for you to answer questions. And they don't even have to really be about this block. Like, if you come up with just a general question, feel free to reach out. You can come see me at the store, call the store, visit the store, email us at info@quiltingmayhem.com, message us through social media. Just please be patient. We get inundated with social media questions. So usually email or calling or visiting, any of that will get you a faster answer. But yeah, don't struggle with anything. If there's a technique I show and I talk about and there's maybe something I skip over, because unfortunately, I have been quilting a long time, so sometimes I forget to give you like a basic step or say a basic thing. I try really hard not to, but I might. Make sure you reach out. Just say, hey, I don't get it. This isn't working out. Something's not right, whatever. We can video chat, we can just talk it out, all those kinds of things. So I want to make sure that you're successful, that you're happy. This is supposed to be our happy place. This is our therapy. This is not where we get frustrated and unhappy. All right. So make sure you just reach out and don't be embarrassed. Don't be afraid. It's amazing how many people are like, oh, I don't want to. I'm like, why? We all need help. I've gotten help many times. Have I gotten help over the years? And I went through the beginning phase also. So that's why I like sharing all the steps, because I know what it was like, and the struggle of learning. Because sometimes you get stuck, you get frustrated, it just doesn't seem right. So please reach out. I will gladly help you. And like I said, it doesn't have to be about the Kona Block of the month. It can be darn near anything, because I've done almost every technique out there in the quilting world, sewing world, even bags, those kinds of things, garments, all that kind of stuff. And we've got a really good team that can help answer questions too. So we are a wealth of knowledge in Quilting Mayhem land. So please tap into it. That is actually what we enjoy. That is one of our driving forces, is to share our knowledge. So otherwise, get ready for month 1. I will make you some basic pressing videos, some of that kind of stuff, maybe some cutting videos for those of you that are beginners, but otherwise we'll jump into those blocks and have a good time.